If your idea of the perfect weekend involves binging on twisted murder mysteries, then chances are you've already caught up with the platform's Nordic noir, The Chestnut Man. At the end of the miniseries, everyone couldn't help but wonder if the show was really based on some gruesome true story. Well, today is the day you'll find out the truth behind the bone-chilling Chestnut Man. So what is The Chestnut Man about? For those of you who haven't watched the series yet, there will be some spoilers up ahead, so brace yourselves. You could call The Chestnut Man sort of a cat-and-mouse game between a cryptic killer and the detectives after him, but that would be a gross oversimplification of the Danish murder mystery. Set in stunning Copenhagen, the miniseries takes us to a gory murder scene straight off the bat, back to 1987. Apparently, it all began with the discovery of a murdered family who had been brutally killed on their farm. And if the murder itself doesn't shake you enough, this certainly will. An officer, while investigating the crime scene, finds himself in a room full of little figurines made of matches and chestnuts. This is where we first see the work of the heartless maniac who'd soon become the infamous Chestnut Man. The series itself isn't set in the 90s entirely. Right after the farm incident, we flash forward to the present day, where a young woman lays dead on the playground, brutally murdered. Two things from the gruesome scene will instantly catch your attention. One, the victim's missing hand, and two, a miniature doll built from chestnut and matchsticks. The killer's calling card re-emerged 30 years after we first saw it on the farm, and that's where our dedicated protagonists come in. Danica Kurcik plays the zealous and frazzled Detective Naya, who has her hands full day and night with her job as a homicide detective and as a single mother. But despite the insane exhaustion, she braves through it all, determined to catch the killer before a dead body turns up in her own backyard. Her character will have you rooting for her in no time. One of the best parts of murder mysteries is following an equally interesting detective duo as they work through the case, and The Chestnut Man delivers on that by bringing in Michael Boa-Folsgaard's Mark Hess, an enigmatic Interpol cop reassigned from the headquarters to investigate another seemingly unrelated murder in Copenhagen. Is the show based on a true story? Netflix Chestnut Man won't leave you scared like your average ghost movie with all its jump scares and crazy-looking monsters, but it will leave you with a constant sense of dread. Unlike the monsters from the Upside Down or the ghosts on the other side of the red door, The Chestnut Man feels very real, and that's exactly what makes it such a scary and disturbing watch. In fact, many viewers were convinced that the Danish series was inspired by true events. Given that serial killers like Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer actually did exist, we don't blame them. While the murder mystery certainly feels like it's been ripped from the headlines, you can rest assured that The Chestnut Man is not actually based on a true story. The streaming platform got its foreign language thriller thanks to Soren Sveistrup, the author of the novel Chestnut Man. The book was released in 2019 under the title Kassenjamanden, and interestingly enough, it had quite the fan base before the Netflix original was even a thing. Much like the miniseries, the novel follows a serial killer who's earned himself the nickname of the Chestnut Man because of his unusual MO. Using the same method of murder as shown on screen, he terrorizes the streets of Copenhagen, bringing two unlikely detectives together to work the case. It's a pretty accurate adaptation as far as Netflix adaptations go, probably because the man behind the story himself, Soren, served as the head writer on the streaming platform as well. The story of the Chestnut Killer might be made up, but some of the plot is actually based on reality. In one of his interviews, the author revealed that the inspiration behind his novel came from a Danish tradition. Apparently, creating chestnut dolls is an annual tradition in Denmark. Each autumn, when these nuts fall from the trees, children pick them all up and turn them into the small dolls from the Netflix show, complete with matchsticks and everything. But instead of crime scenes, you'll find them displayed on windowsills or in classrooms. A few years ago, when he went to pick up his youngest from kindergarten, Sveistrup saw the kids assembling chestnut men while singing, "Chestnut Man, do come in, chestnut man, do come in." FYI, it's a harmless children's rhyme, but boy does it sound eerie, and the author thought so too. To me, the invitation sounded creepy, even though the context was so innocent. Or maybe exactly because the context was so innocent, said Soren. He did end up following his anxieties, as he calls it, and decided to use the small children's doll as a signature in his crime scenes. We guess genius strikes at the most unlikely places. Should you watch Chestnut Man? Honestly, it all boils down to the genre that you like. If you enjoy the Matthew McConaughey star True Detective, then Chestnut Man should definitely be on your watch list. We've also gathered a few other reasons for you to stream this deadly Danish treat. Now, a convincing mystery. The series does an incredible job at creating a gripping mystery right from the first episode. So it's not one of those shows that you'll have to wait to get involved in. At the same time, it manages to keep the cat and mouse chase as alive as ever with cliffhangers good enough to make you binge the entire thing in one sitting. The writers were clever enough to incorporate incorporate a sort of reward system in the show. With every episode you watch, you find a little something about the killer. As the story goes on and more bodies begin to pile up with the signature chestnut doll, the mystery deepens, and we're left wondering what the motive for each murder could be. Basically, with every new clue, you'll get a bunch of new questions. Next, the interesting characters and their chemistry. While the mystery itself is pretty interesting, you'll find that the driving characters of the Chestnut Man aren't any less. Generally speaking, all of them played out really well on the screen, but it's the lead detectives, Naya and Mark, that stole the show with their undeniable chemistry. It's pretty fun watching them bounce off theory after theory at each other as they work around the cases. And if you're a fan of a certain British, high-functioning sociopath detective, you'll find Hess pretty entertaining. For starters, he beats up a dead pig in a morgue. We don't know about you, but the Sherlock vibes seem pretty strong with this one. Next, how it blows expectations out of the park. The expectations for the Chestnut Man were pretty high, especially for Soren's fans. The 2019 release wasn't the author's first rodeo within the genre. He previously wrote The Crime, which he later adapted for American TV as The Killing. You'll find that both his works follow themes of child neglect and, of course, gruesome crimes in seemingly peaceful settings. You could say that the troubled children-parent dynamic has become his niche as an author and as a screenwriter. While the predominant themes were similar, fans were delighted with The Chestnut Man. Many even went as far as calling it the best thriller of modern times. Now, that's pretty high praise. Lastly, let's talk about the stunning visuals. If you've seen Danish films before, you probably have noticed they followed a pretty dark color palette, mostly featuring blue and gray tones in their visuals. Naturally, the scenes turn out to be pretty grim. The Chestnut Man, however, doesn't follow this unspoken tradition. The Netflix adaptation is a visual treat. It boasts vibrant cinematography as it captures Denmark in fall in all its glory. If you've never been there, you'll definitely pack your bags after watching the beautiful locations and breathtaking sceneries in the show. They are truly a sight to behold. If it weren't for the blood spurters, decapitated bodies, and innocent victims lying around, the Chestnut Man could have easily passed off as a tourism advertisement. But of course, it's not all pretty to look at. The murders can get pretty grim. With a solid plot, gruesome crime scenes, and a super tight mystery, the show is pretty well done. It doesn't get slow or stagnant throughout the 6 episodes and keeps up a pretty moderate pace, enough to keep you hooked and at the edge of your seats until the very end. You're bound to wonder if the crimes were committed by a vigilante or by an extremely disturbed person with deep-running issues. And that about wraps up our video for today, folks. Have you watched the Netflix murder mystery yet? Were you convinced it was based on a true story? Let us know in the comments section down below. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.